Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code FACE at checkout. That's harrys.com, code FACE. Enjoy!
This is
Make It Plain.
Make It Plain.
M.I.P.
With Masamela Matfumo.
Mark Thompson.
Make It Plain.
Get woke.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's always a pleasure to welcome back to Make It Plain fellow Georgetown Hoya Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett in her new role as an impeachment manager. Just as we were starting, I was congratulating her, and then we thought about it. So, well, do you congratulate someone on an impeachment? But I think we all should say the congratulations is in the regard of how proud we are of her and her ongoing accomplishments. And it is no small thing that the U.S. Congress and the Speaker, and therefore all Americans, have put their faith and trust in her leadership and Congresswoman Plaskett's leadership. So here she is, Congresswoman Plaskett. Stacey, God bless you. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you. Did you have a great holiday and then a wonderful inauguration on Wednesday?
Yeah. The holiday was safe and blessed, and inauguration was something. But honestly, I have to ask you, like I ask everybody, you were waiting on, because you still couldn't quite believe it was real. You know, it was like, is somebody going to pinch me? Is this really happening? Is Donald Trump going to come back from backstage and say, psych, I'm still here? So I was kind of, I still have PTSD, but I'm glad that it happened. I don't know if you felt the same way. When you were there, were you still kind of like, is this really happening?
No, I didn't feel that way.
Okay.
I felt kind of like, after, as a mother, after you've given birth.
Okay.
And you're exhausted, but exhilarated and happy that the trial and the labor is over, and, you know, something is there, the fruition, not knowing what it's going to be, what it's going to grow, what it's going to end up being, but, you know, with great expectations for what's about to come.
Yeah, and it must feel, I mean, you being there, felt great to all of us to have Kamala Harris take that oath.
Yeah.
And her being, like, you a fellow Afro-Caribbean. Oh my God. So are people at home like everybody in Jamaica? I mean, it's probably the same, isn't it?
Well, you know, we're pretty excited about the elevation of a Caribbean sister, but, you know, truthfully, Caribbean people, you know, we're kind of prideful. We think we all are that anyway. So we're kind of like, well, what else would you expect but the first female vice president to be but a Caribbean woman? I mean, you know, from Shirley Chisholm on down.
Yeah, that's right. So tell us how this evolved in terms of you being chosen as one of the impeachment managers. How did that happen? How did that come about?
Well, you know, I was, I can recall I was in St. Thomas in my office. My staff told me that the speaker was trying to reach me. I thought it was going to be about a text that I had sent her about some security issues related to the Capitol. We had a briefing from the new acting chief of the Capitol Police, and I had some questions and some follow-ups about some of the comments and the suggestions that she had made. So I just thought she was returning, being gracious as she is and returning the phone call about that. And when she says she wanted to be an impeachment manager, it's not often that I don't have anything to say, but I was quiet for a minute. I was like, you're asking me to be an impeachment manager. So it's, it's 9 of us. We all recognize how important this is, how solemn this is. We see this as not only justice for our democracy and a means for repairing a fracture on the republic, but as also a means of healing. And that we, as much as everyone is talking about unity, that unity cannot take place unless there is justice and a reckoning of those ills that have been done.
Yeah.
And that this is part of that. That if we were to move on and sweep this under the rug, it's like a cancer that's never been dealt with in the body.
Right.
To just completely ignore it does not mean that it has gone away. And so we believe that, I believe that the greatest threat in modern history, this individual who left to his own devices would have us in a dictatorial state, a fascist regime that supports his imperial objectives. If he is not checked, then he or others like him may come forward after him. And so it is not only about, the first part. And what is so amazing to me, Mark, is that our founders understood this, that impeachment, the articles of impeachment were never just about removal from office, because it provides also from disqualification in the future and a stripping of that individual of the vestiges that we give to our former presidents or former elected officials as well. Yeah. And so someone is not going to incite insurrection and attempt to overthrow at the beginning of their administration. They're going to do it at the end. Yeah. And an individual cannot just simply, once he's done something as horrific as call for the assassination of the vice president, the assassination of the Speaker of the House and other members, and to stop the constitutional duties of the members of Congress, we cannot allow that person to just resign and walk away, and it's okay. Yeah. The other thing too, Congresswoman, to me is, there've been conflicts, wars around a lot of issues. Usually, though, it's about something tangible. Even as terrible as the Civil War was, the issue was slavery. Slavery existed. You were either for or against it. This thing that you all had to deal with, and in a minute I want to hear about, your personal experience being in the Capitol that day, was an insurrection over something intangible and unreal. Right. And I've said to people, I wonder if you would agree. Let's say people decided to demonstrate on the Capitol January 6th, non-violently, for something tangible. Like, let's say those same people who also didn't get a decent stimulus check from Trump or McConnell, let's say they say, we're going to march on the Capitol because we didn't get a stimulus check. Mm-hmm. What can we say? That's true. I mean, that happened. They didn't even do that. They came, it was something totally, so to me, that makes it even more harrowing, don't you think? And I think that's what Biden was saying in his inaugural piece. It's one thing if we debate facts, but when you start pulling stuff out of thin air, and then people react to it violently, that makes it even more harrowing, doesn't it? True, because you're asking us to refute evidence that doesn't exist. Yeah. But remember, this is not entirely intangible. These individuals who have been brainwashed, who were incited by the president, his objectives were very clear, and he had a very tangible reason why he wanted, which was to hold on to power. And he utilized an election for many, many months to gin these people up. Yeah. But let's recall that his rise to power was based on an underlying issue that America has never dealt with, right? in his birtherism, in his inability to accept that places like Philadelphia and Detroit actually organized individuals, Atlanta and other places, in Arizona, those Latino communities organized themselves. And what he was basically saying is that your votes don't count. You are a non-existent, you are a non-person. We really should maybe be going back to slavery and treating you as a 2/3 of a person, and maybe reduce your votes by that level, because then maybe I would have won. But I think there were so many of those underlying issues. Just when you look at the types of T-shirts, banners, the epithets that those individuals were spewing when they were out there, you know that there are undealt with issues that many of those that the former president was preying on.
Yeah. And ultimately exploiting them and their own undealt with issues.
Mm-hmm.
So on January 6th, because I've been talking to members of Congress about their experiences, what was going on in the building, where were you? What was your experience like on that day?
Sure. I was in my office. A good friend had asked me to turn on a specific cable news station that was actually playing all of the speech. You know, most reputable cable news networks would not give voice or give place for the president's full speech, but this one did. And so I was listening to his speech and knew that this was going to be a lot wilder than we had anticipated. And so, I mean, I come prepared. I had my pants on, had some flats on, didn't wear any dangly earrings, right, Mark? Because you know, you from Brooklyn, you better have yourself prepared. But I was going to go on the floor. I saw Jamie Raskin speaking, and he had been my law school professor at American University. And so I saw him speaking on the floor and wanted to go on the floor, one, to be with my colleagues as the objections were being debated, but also I wanted to give him my condolences face to face rather than just in a text and in voice messages for the loss of his son several days before. And just as I had my jacket on and was, you know, collecting my things to go on the floor, was when I saw that the floor proceedings had been disrupted and they were asking for a recess. And another staffer in my office told me that there had been a breach in the Capitol and they were asking us all to lock our doors. So I didn't make it over.
Yeah. So when you were in your office, did anyone come by your office or try to confront you and your staff, or were you kind of insulated?
We were kind of insulated from that. We didn't have any direct confrontation. You know, we received messages from Capitol Police to whom only how we would open the door if we had to. At a latter point, they were collecting all of the members and putting us in one location so that they could better protect us if something were going to happen. I went to that location, and that's where I saw a lot of my Republican colleagues without masks on. Talked to a couple of members, and then made the assessment that, you know what, this is really not a safe location with all of these unmasked individuals. And it's probably better for me to take my chances through the tunnels and get back to my office than to try and fight off an unseen virus in this room.
Yeah. Congresswoman Waters said the same thing the other day. You know, she said she didn't want to go in that room with a bunch of maskless people.
Right, which is also, as Bonnie Watson Coleman said, a lie. That they were actually putting us all in danger once again over a lie, that the virus is not real.
Yeah. At any point where you or members of your staff, did you all feel in danger for your own physicals?
I think so. You'll have to ask them, but I think we all felt pretty safe where we were. Okay. We felt pretty fortified. I've been checking in with a lot of my other colleagues, particularly those who were up in the gallery, and they still worry me. Because, the members who were on the floor were taken off the floor very quickly, but the members who were ringing the gallery had to stay there for.
Yeah. I saw that. Now, so where are we now in terms of the trial, getting it going? I believe Monday is the day that the article will be transmitted to the Senate. Is the trial going to start immediately? What do we know?
Not allowed to say.
Oh,
I am going to, as has been announced earlier today, we will be walking the article of impeachment over on Monday morning. But we are allowing the management, we're allowing the Speaker as well as the Senate to determine the course from there. We're respectful of the Senate's constitutional power over the trial. We're being attentive to the fairness, and we are ready to carry out our duty, but we'll see what the process looks like.
As just one of the managers, are you able to say whether or not there's a specific area or a segment of arguments that you're responsible for covering and arguing?
No, I don't want to discuss the strategy that we're going to be utilizing at that time.
So let me ask you this, because just to be clear, because you kind of alluded to it earlier, impeachment is not just to remove.
Correct.
So to be clear, because some people wonder, well, he's already gone. What's the point of having a trial? But the point is, there are other issues that can be addressed and other sanctions that can come from impeachment, correct?
Correct. I mean, as I said, the founders anticipated that an individual who had committed a high crime or misdemeanor or treason would attempt to flee persecution by resigning. As we had seen in the 1800s, we had cases where elected officials resigned their posts, and the House still impeached them and the Senate still tried them, because there needs to be a reckoning of what was done. And impeachment is not just for removal, it is for creating a stamp that says this will not be allowed under our Constitution, but it is also, in some instances, to disqualify that person from the ability to come back and run again, as well as in the case of President Trump. How would it appear if we let this stand? Could you imagine our former presidents receive briefings on national security issues? Do we want him to have access to those national security? Do we want him to have taxpayers paying for staff, for pension, for all of the other things that we afford our highest official, our presidents?
Yeah. No, that's very important. And I know we don't want to violate, as you said, the protocol or decorum, but obviously in your position, and all of you have to be thinking about votes. This comes down to votes in the Senate. Is there any signal or indication that with what you just laid out, all the other serious issues involved, that there's a chance that there would be 2/3, including Republicans, who would actually vote to convict?
Well, we are going to be presenting this case to all 100 senators. And that's, the posture that we're taking. But remember that this is a very unique situation, because not only are the senators acting as jurors, and this is an impeachment where everyone has seen the crime itself. Right. We've all been a witness to the crime in real time, repeatedly over time. We have seen the lead up, the conspiracy, and then the actual crime itself. But the jurors are also victims in this instance.
Right.
And so we will be speaking to all 100 to call on them for their constitution to carry out their constitutional duty and to continue to amend the rift that has been done to our democracy, to show the world that we are still, in fact, the greatest nation because of that democracy and our Constitution and our duty to it, and to ensure that justice is done so that healing and reconciliation and unity can take place.
All right. Well, Congresswoman Plaskett, we appreciate you. We wish you well.
Thank you. I love you, brother.
I love you too. You know that. And it's always good to see you. And we'll be praying for you. And we know you're going to represent us well, okay?
Okay, you take care.
All right. Take care, Congresswoman Plaskett. All right.
Thanks so much.
Bye, Stacey. All right. Love you.
Thanks for getting woke and listening to Make It Plain. Please remember to listen, like, subscribe, and wherever you get your podcasts, please give the show a 5-star rating. And please do spread the word. Let's all continue to pray for each other during this pandemic and this police-demic. If all hearts and minds are clear, it has been made plain.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code FACE at checkout. That's harrys.com, code FACE. Enjoy!